Hey everyone, this is Marlo here, and I'm giving you, before I even start going to the review of for Food Wars episode 16 for season 3, I do want to point out that I had no videos coming up yesterday because the fact that I had to work. I was originally supposed to tend to say till 5:30, at least like mark 5:30 on my calendar for tomorrow, for yesterday, but it turns out there's a big huge event for the year, and this art gallery that I'm doing security for. Ultimately, saying that there's going to be events for every day of the for every day until the end of the sale is done, until the end of the week, or more like to the end when they're done with the whole sale. Things that events for every week. The schedule for time for events come in and come out is spread depending on what events going happening. As for yesterday, I had to work for at least for a good 3 hours, for that extra 3 hours from 5:30. Not actually no extra 3 hours from 5:30 all the way to 9:30. So that was like easily it's like 4 hours in total, extra 4 hours added in. It added in towards the last minute. Then I had to work for an extra 3 hours today. But since it was 7:30, that was only 7:30, so it's taking like 2 hours extra. So I didn't have the energy for yesterday since I came back so late, since I came home till like 10 and the train on weekends, which was still running slow. But enough about that problem. Let's go deal with Food Wars episode 16 of season 3. And when I said last week's episode, we have the big bombshell for the Hayama joined Central and became part of the Elite 10. This episode didn't exactly resolve it. All it just told us the fact that someone just asked him, why did he join Central? Didn't technically exactly why. We never really explain why he joined Central, so that'll be discussed much more later. We're going to see very soon, apparently, at the end of this. I'll get to that ending in a bit. It was just shows about that he's basically cut his ties with Shinomi. Cut his ties with Shinomi Labs, with Shinomi Research Lab, and also explain how he became part of the Elite 10, which I also explain exactly how Kuga, I kind of spoiled his name here in a second, but a lot of things are going forward to basically Hayama chasing Soma to a match into his powerful part of the exam, while both Aldini, Takumi, and Megumi will be tested by Rindo Senpai, the second seed. And for everybody else who's the rebel students who have their own challenges to go through. Supposedly the big main focus is Soma versus Akira, basically a grudge match, basically said to be like this one huge grudge match between the two, since it's been on record saying that Akira has beaten Soma twice in different occasions, but both of those occasions were during the Olympics, which he explained small, very detailed towards the end of the episode. But other than just the fact that Akira is going to be the one someone's going to be going against, we're going to need someone to be the judge against these two. A very partial judge who's split between the middle. He cannot be pulling favorites. And in comes Dojima Senpai, who will be participating as the judge. And it's been stated that he's not part of Central, he's a neutral party. So he's thankfully not pulling any sides, especially given his history, apparently this out-of-town history that we know from Azumi. Which that history will be explored way later in this arc, later in the season. I think I'm not too sure when we're going to get that origin story between the three. But by three, I do mean Gin, Azumi, and Jojiro, which those episodes, that moment will happen very much later. But predicting the future here, we have the current past to go on. So for now, we've got Erina doing her own thing. I forgot that two people just grabbed her by the arms and just like pulled her away while she was pushing. While Rindo Senpai was pushing Takumi and Megumi for their part of the exam. And Gin explains that the topic is bear meat, which basically means it's like a more animal form meat, but has a bit of a strong aftertaste after you cook. Despite cooking as best as you can with any forms, if you just cook the bear meat regularly and put something over, like say like a sauce or something like that, eventually, at first it will taste good, but the aftertaste of it was very strong, so you have to counteract the food you're serving with a strong aftertaste. The meat themselves was provided to them already, while other ingredients they had to find for themselves. And while someone was trying to discover how to try to make all these recipes go on through, incomings from saying sounds he heard, in comes walking in Lisa Go like 6 from Kuga Senpai's Chinese Research Society, where it was like apparently Kuga Senpai and those guys are going to give Soma a chance to help against Akira. And when someone asks him, why are you doing this? I'm going to help you out because I'm like, why? He explained, the episode decides to explain with him, like, I don't have to explain, but all I know, except for the background, was like, it was a yellow background with flowers going around, and both design come more cartoony. I was like, I'm not doing this because I was to make sure that, hey, you're here in Al-Qaeda, I can't leave you all alone. You're saying condescendingly, like he's basically lying. But of course, he is going to help Soma in this case, but on one condition: challenge Akira to a Shokugeki. And then he explained, and then he's saying, why will you Soma challenge him to a Shokugeki? Basically, if you beat Akira, you take the 9th seed, and I come challenge you for the 9th seed, and I beat you, and I give him the 9th seed. It was a win-win for everyone, right? It's a win-win for me, basically, for Kuga Senpai. And so during the whole midst of the whole that whole spiel, someone was like, he's something really annoying me just now. I can tell the fact he's saying when he said in his mind, and it's just something really annoying. He's referring to the fact that if I become a member of the Elite 10, this is perfectly fine, but you plan on taking me down for the 9th seed. After the mention of the fact during the time when he was with Gin, he mentioned the fact that Akira is part of the Elite 10. Doesn't mean Izan, who's supposed to be the 9th seed thing, went over, right? And it's still the Elite 10. He's held by the 9th seed. I'm like, dude, I think that's like the least word probably you have right now, because you have to go against Akira right here, who basically just ascended to Elite 10 status right now, before even you guys can do it. A lot of other stuff happens, and we move forward to an episode part from the episode where Soma, Kuga Senpai, and apparently have some local hunter who apparently has some sort of local in Hakao area, at least in that area specifically. We're looking to want to see how took these guys to the area. It was mostly where bears are mostly local, so someone can get an idea how to technically cook bear since he recalled from Yuki that bear meat is significantly a lot more smellier, a lot more different, since it takes a lot more to cook than say bear meat and like deer meat, and I think duck meat was the one that she said. I forgot which was the second one, but it takes more to cook than these two. So someone decided to go off to the woods, decided to go out into the mountain area to feel to feel, smell, and touch things like mostly bears do in nature, especially in the wintertime, since Hokkaido is in during the winter season. And then there's a scene where someone asks Kuga Senpai, how did Akira become Mario Elite 10? So Akira is basically in a brief summary that Azumi decided to hold a battle royale status like Shokugeki, or like a cook-off battle, and that's exactly much of Shokugeki, to fill in the 3 vacant slots that were once held by Kuga Senpai, Megashima Senpai, and Ishiki Senpai. And eventually, these were introduced 4 third-year students were very in the high rank, while the 4 second-year students, who were mentioned way back in Season 2, the second half of Season 3, and the first half of Season 3, but they were ultimately eliminated by the third-year students. Then in comes Akira, whom somehow a first year beats those 4, and eventually, alongside 2 solos and 2 other characters, which we'll bear to see more soon, later down in the second half of the season. And one person I was most excited for was one person who had the ponytail on the cat, because did they just seriously made reference you from Street Fighter 4 into Shokugeki Soma Food Wars. So I was like, oh my goodness, Sarah, Yoon character here, my boy Yoon being introduced here. Excuse me, my boy Yoon being introduced in the series in Shokugeki format, in a Food Wars format. Of course, that's not what we expect until much later in the manga, which we're going to see more. We're going to see more of these 2 characters possibly sometime in the future. So basically, how Akira became part of the Elite 10, he was one of the first year, along with 2 second-year students, who were the last one standing to get 3 vacant spots for the Elite 10. Now the fact that Akira has basically ascended far more, he's basically a more tougher opponent to deal with, since his now high intensive smell is not considered for a weapon for Central's use. And I love the fact that Kuka explained that while Kira backed away. It was like basically Kira facing back. His back was shown to the screen where there was like a one black wing spread from the back, and there's a picture of the evil silhouette face of Azumi. And there's like basically he's just like a soldier of the devil himself. And that's exactly what Kuga just described to Soma, what Kira is now. So fast forward to zone. So now moving fast forward towards the third half of the episode, which is the last of it. So came with now to counteract the bear meat, at least the aftertaste of it was basically berries. So I forgot the name of the berries, but they're like dry. He managed to smush into the meat. He mixed into meat, made it big like a beef patty with it. Managed to serve it to both the guys, both their clothes over, yada yada. And explains about that he was looking at the Kuga how he managed to come up with this medicinal, since the berries specifically were used in medicinal cuisines. He explained about it during some point during a year ago. A couple of days ago, not a year ago, days ago, that during the time when while some of the students were still being hammered with knowledge from Hokkaido by both Aaron and Hisako, or Aruto, where I should say Aruto, not Hisako. Aruto was on some sort of tea, some sort of tea, and when someone tasted it, it was like, what the heck is this taste? She explained this is the same sort, she used the same berries that someone just used, but more in liquid format to energize and revitalize you after you're left being worn down. They explained that all this is like basically the berries came from the Chinese and Korean peninsula, and to learn from this and that, where like when making me was looking at it, it's like we were just taking a bigger, and we're just going back into the class, specifically for Soma, not for everybody else, but realizing that eventually they're going to have to get back into the class format and roll again, and they're basically after just being exhausted. And after finding out exactly that this is the one thing that could actually give someone some bit of a slight edge in his favor to win. I don't know why my mind is like that, but slight edge. In comes Akira with his bear meat dish, and they'll all go in the course the glowing aura of the spices. And this is where when I said there were 2 wins, Akira has 2 wins over him. Before he gets to explain that point, he actually grabs Soma's hand. Basically, when I saw in the manga translation from the manga to the anime, in the manga it was like basically snap or like glint, and then just snap and grab his wrist. Excuse me, and then grab his wrist. While in the anime is basically just genuinely, he's like caressingly just lifts the wrist like this. And of course he notices that you've been using these berries. I've completely forgotten the name of these berries. Excuse me. Probably has some water with me on this. You had some berries, he just took some berries, even though the smell of it was like worn out by now, he still managed to pick up the scent. And the fact that in your scheme, how your things do is like to on the spot moments to decide a victory, it's won't give you a bit of an edge. He also explained there he has 2 wins over Soma. The first time, 2 times I mentioned are back during the autumn elections, or the time of the autumn elections. The first time it was the ranking and see who were the 4 from Block A and Block B who will make it to the final 8. Who will get to the top 8 of the alarm elections to the full tournament. Akira beat Soma by placing first, while Soma was second place, so he tied with Rio. That was the first win, though in fact that in Shokugeki rule format, Soma technically won if Shokugeki rules for 3-2 vote. Since Soma got 3 wins of the same number, while Akira had 2 votes of the same number. But and if you add all the points up, Akira won. And as for the second time, of course, it was the big one that most fans pretty much want to see Soma win the alarm election, but no, Akira won the main tournament in the final match against with both Akira, Soma, and Maria. I don't know why I paused. I kind of remember the characters kind of take a moment to breathe. Where Akira matched with Soma and Rio at the same time during the finals. So Akira has 2 wins over Soma. So basically means if he loses the 3rd time, well then other than 3 strikes in your out rule, this is more of a grander defeat because if you lose, you'll be kicked out of Suzuki along with the rest of your students, which I'm not going to tell you exactly the fate of those students just yet until they come later. And I'll also say the back is basically against the wall since basically Soma is now basically screwed out a chance that he had that one slight edge. Unfortunately, Akira comes back, counteracts that with more of a stronger dish that beats Soma. So now back against the wall, we have no idea what Soma's going to do at this point. So we have to wait till the next episode. And by next week's episode's preview, there's no sort of preview again, so it's silhouette again. 2 girls will be introduced in the next episode, so probably towards the end. But next week's episode, we're going to see the beginning match between Soma and Akira. I think that most likely will be the case. But until then, leave a like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. I'll see you next time for the next video. Laters!